Man, I tell you what, I'm tickled to death to be able to do this. As you can tell, representing.
That's awesome.
Man, I'm just going to shoot. I'm not going to keep you on here long. I know
that's fine.
You're busy. You got a lot of cool stuff going on because I keep up with you pretty regular. But I was just going to introduce. I'm Adam Newsom. Obviously, I've aggravated you a few times about your clothes and stuff.
Not at all.
So, Beastyle, which is an awesome brand. I dig it. I'm going to start off first. Actually, I've got a couple questions. When did you come up with this idea, dude? When did you decide that you wanted to do a clothing line, and what kind? I mean, just give me the rundown from the start because I'm very interested in
it. It's an interesting beginning. So I'm a guy who, let me see if I could show you. Well, how do I switch that? I haven't used this in a while. Anyway, here's my hat collection, right?
Yeah.
And that's probably 1/8 of all my hats. So I've always worn hats. I think after I started losing my hair and became bald head, it just became like it went part. Like I don't have any hair to show off, so a hat became something that I was always wearing wherever I went.
Right.
Combine that with the fact that I started running out of hats that I liked. So I would go to New York City. I'd go to Manhattan. I'd shop. I'd have maybe 2 or 3 hat shops. One day, I literally spent 2-3 hours looking for like a new hat or two, and I couldn't find anything. And I was just like, you know what? Everything is too loud. You know, they're coming out with the style. I guess it was maybe about 2018, 2019. The style of the hats had become. The younger crowd is they like the really colorful and loud and all this stuff. So everything I was seeing was like it didn't fit my style. I was like, you know what? I should make my own hat. I said, what should I make a hat of? I said, you know what? My favorite animal is a gorilla.
Yeah.
It's always been my favorite animal. I said, I've never seen a cool gorilla hat. So you know what? Let me make a gorilla hat. So I started searching online for gorilla logo. I couldn't find anything. I started creating my own. I was having a little trouble coming up with a nice, just minimalist logo. I found this website full of logo designers, and I just so happened to search gorilla, and boom, I found a gorilla logo that was about 60% of my gorilla logo now. And I said, I really like that. So I contacted the designer. I said, you know, how do I get this logo? She goes, well, you purchase it, this and this, and I'll help you edit it, blah, blah, blah. So I purchased it from her. I said, all right, you know, we have to make a couple modifications. Let's work on this. So she edited it for me. She made some changes. She sent it to me. I purchased it. A week or two later, I noticed I wanted to change it some more. I edited it again. So maybe it's about, let's say, 80% of the original version is my brand logo.
Gotcha.
Maybe 75 to 80%. Now let me find out how to make a hat. All right. So I don't know if in Kentucky you guys have lids, those stores, the hat stores.
Yeah, the mall has lids.
Right, they have them, right? So I went to Lids and I said, listen, can you make this a logo? I got it digitized into a file. Said, can you make this into a logo for me and put it on a hat for me? You put it on a hat and it came out like crap. It looked, you know, something you'd buy, like something you'd win at like a festival. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
You hit the bottle, you get it down, you get this cheap looking hat. And I said, you know what, this is crap. And so I started searching for embroiderers, and lo and behold, one night I'm just randomly hanging out at my buddy's apartment, and I meet this kid, and he's like, yeah, I have my own clothing line, and I get it done with this guy in Manhattan. His name is so-and-so. You should go to him. I contact this guy. I give him the gorilla logo. Long story short, he prints it on a hat. It comes out fantastic. It comes out with the exact gorilla logo that you see on my website. It came out perfect. I say, you know what? Let me order 20 hats or 2 dozen. So I got 2 dozen. He said, well, I have a minimum of 100 hats. I can't really do 12 or 20. I said, all right, listen, let me get 100 gorilla hats. Give me a white one, a red one, a green one, a blue one, so on and so forth. I bought them all. I showed them to my friends. I sold all of them in probably maybe 2 or 3 months. I sold 100 hats. I said, wait a second. Now, I didn't hear any, it was all positive feedback about the logo. People loved it.
Yeah.
They liked the minimalist. They liked the profile, the silhouette of the gorilla. I realized I had something. I said, you know what? Let me put it on a shirt. So I put on a shirt. Now I have one hat, one shirt. Then I'm like, you know what? Different color. Let me do white on black, red on black, yellow. Snowball effect, right? Now I have a gorilla hat, a gorilla tank top, a gorilla shirt. Then I'm like, you know what? I can't make a website with just 3 things.
Yeah.
And so I started working with that original logo designer. And I started telling, hey, look, can you help me make a bear logo, an elephant logo, so on and so forth. She did the first 2. I think the first 2 were a lion and a bear, and the bear were number 2 and number 3. She did them. She would create the base, and then I would give her the edits. She'd fix them, come out to my liking. I'd get them printed. Now I got a bear. I have I think it was an elephant, a bear, a lion, and a gorilla. Now I make a website. It's something minor, something I did on Wix.
Right.
And then I sent it to my friends. I tried to learn how to advertise online. I tried to learn Facebook advertising. I wasn't doing too well with the Facebook advertising. I really didn't know what I was doing. And then I said, you know what? Instead of me paying a few $100s to have this logo designer create these, I'm pretty good with Photoshop. I have an artistic background. I went to college for film editing. I was an artist as a kid. I was always drawing. I was like, I think I should just teach myself how to do this. And that's what I did. So I taught myself Photoshop, how to, I already knew Photoshop, but I taught myself how to use the design tools to make these creations.
Yeah.
And there you have it, really. That's really the bread and butter. Then I made an elephant. I said, you know what? Now I need a tiger. I need all the badass beasts. I'm not gonna make a dolphin. You know what I mean? They got to be beasts, right? The most powerful. They got to be they have to represent power or agility or speed, some phenomenal trait, right?
The thing I love most about that is you actually, for each animal, you put the attributes of it on there.
Absolutely.
And you know what, man? I think that everybody, like you said, you identified with a silverback gorilla. That was your thing, man. When you probably lifting weights, you felt like I'd like to channel the strength of that animal, just like I am with the grizzly bear. So that is the thing that I think is different from so many different clothing lines, man. Yeah, you can stick an animal on there, but you put down the definitions of each one, then it sticks out.
Sure, right. That was actually something that came a little later, right? So the first, I guess, the prototypes were just the bear, just the gorilla, just the lion. I say, it's not, something's missing.
Yeah.
So I only printed a small amount of those, and I actually printed them on the wrong type of tees. They're actually still sitting here somewhere. So I printed them I made a mistake with the tee order, and they're just sitting in the closet collecting dust. So I say, I'm gonna go back. And I said there has to be an attribute, right? That if you notice, all the traits, all the adjectives are sort of ambiguous, right? Yeah. They have to match a human.
Mm-hmm.
They have to match what a person can have too. So, for instance, I'm not going to use for lion. I'm not going to use the term lethal.
Yeah.
Right. That's not a positive attribute for a human. You don't want to be lethal, right?
Right.
So I said, what are the traits that transcend both this beast and a human and would be admirable qualities? So believe it or not, the coming up with those were actually more difficult than
Yeah,
I
I can see
realized.
that. I mean, a lot of
Yeah,
thought process goes into that.
very much so. So for the Grizzly, it was I believe it's rugged, powerful, massive, right?
Yeah,
All of those, you're rugged, powerful, and massive, right?
that's it.
It- if you're a big dude, you would have no problem identifying with the traits of rugged, massive, and powerful.
Exactly.
You might have a problem if I was like massive, powerful, and ferocious. You
Ferocious.
know what I'm saying? So that might be a little. I'm a sweet guy, but I don't want to be ferocious. And that's it, man. I said, you know what? I got to get everything on a cap, a tank top, a t-shirt, and a hoodie. I started printing. I connected with printers all over New York, and now I have a full-fledged brand, and I'm only just scratching the surface. And
Thing that I think you would have if this had came up, let's say 15 years ago. See, I'm a former MMA fighter and boxer. I think, with the UFC pretty much monopolizing, say, Venom or Reebok, nobody's getting to wear their own brands anymore like they used to. You had Sprawl, Tap Out. I think had this came along 15 years ago, these MMA fighters, which I stay on top of your Instagram and everything anyways, and you've got several athletes that are reaching out wearing your stuff. But I think had you got a little bit earlier and the MMA boom had happened, UFC, it's untelling if you would have had some fight shorts, which, you could still do that. And
I planned that, yeah.
That would be killer. I think you would have absolutely been right up there with Sprawl. You would have been right up there with Tap Out, Clinch Gear, all those, man, because you've got a great thing going. And I mean, I wear a lot of active wear. I do. But this is by far my favorite. The T-shirt that I've got is the best
Appreciate
fabric, dude, that I'm not even joking.
I appreciate that.
My wife sleeps in that shirt, so that tells you right there. She don't like to wear my clothes.
Well, when it gets the stamp of approval from a woman, it's at least comfortable, right?
That's it. But Nate, like I said, I appreciate you, but I wanted to get your story out there. But I also got some questions for you before I let you go, dude.
Sure.
It's a little bit of this or that, but let's go a little bit beast versus beast, boxer versus boxer, rock star versus rock star. Let's see your opinion. Let's go lion versus hippo.
Hippo.
Hippo. All right. Tyson versus Ali.
Oof, that is an age-old mythical matchup that I have actually debated many times before, and I have to go with Ali.
Okay. I always said if it went longer rounds, it favored Ali. If it become a slugfest early, if Tyson caught any human being, they're going down.
Well, the thing is that Ali wasn't built like the normal. He was even he was willing to die in there. He wasn't like even the toughest boxer. He was still a step. His mentally, very few were like him.
Oh yes.
If there's any example of the kind of metal that Muhammad Ali had, is if you go and watch his fight with Ernie Shavers.
Oh, Ernie was a bad dude.
Not only was Ernie one of the hardest punchers ever, if you look at the punches that Ali took in that fight, it would have KO'd any regular man,
yes.
Right? And he took it was a 12, I think it was 15 rounds.
Yeah.
And not only that, he was already on the downslide. He was a 35, 36.
It was later in his career when he fought Shavers.
His reflexes were slow. His brain damage was already on set, and he beat him.
Mm-hmm.
And he took those punches from him. That tells you the kind of mentality he had. That was more mental than physical.
He beat so many guys mentally. He had a lot of guys beat before they even fought. I mean, he was in their head before they stepped in the ring.
So I think that is the trait that would separate me. I think trying to take a 19-year-old, 20-year-old, 21-year-old Mike Tyson's punches is going to be a problem for any human being that ever lived, right?
Yeah.
But I think if there's anyone that could do it, it was Ali.
Well, I'll tell you what, my dad says the same thing, and he's a big boxing guy. We sat up there 2 nights ago, watched a really good fight. I think it was Salvador Sanchez again. I can't remember, but he schools me in the old boxing, which I'm more of an MMA guy. It's kind of my generation, but I go back. But that's an excellent answer, Nate. All right, on to a different one here, which I don't know if you're into rock music, but if Axl Rose and Motley Crue's Vince Neil had met, who would have won that?
If they would have met in a fight?
Yes, because they had words.
Axl Rose versus Vince Neil, Motley Crue. I definitely know these 80s, 90s guys. I lost touch with rock when I got older, but Vince Neil. Vince Neil was a bit stockier, looked a bit more powerful than Axl, but Axl was definitely probably more fiery. Oh, that's a good one. I'll go with Axl.
I'm going to side with Axl too. I think that his stamina and his being able to sing for 3 hours on stage, running and singing, his cardio was probably through the roof. Whereas Vince Neil kind of got out of shape later on down the road. I
mean, Axl had one of those once in a lifetime voices. I mean, he was like something like 4 or 5 octaves.
It's almost like Guns N' Roses was the musical version of Mike Tyson. I mean, they came along and shipwrecked everything in their path and kind of
major peak and a fast decline, kind of.
Yeah, and they both have kind of came back as of lately in a small. They've kind of reclaimed with Tyson doing the Roy Jones Jr. deal, Guns N' Roses reunion. It's kind of back and forth. But all right, so we've got Randy Couture versus Fedor Emelianenko.
I'm gonna. You're talking prime Fedor?
Yes.
I gotta go Fedor, man. And Couture is my favorite MMA fighter.
Mine too. Met him several times. Sweetheart of a dude. Fedor is, like you said, man. I think his striking, I think his power and his punches would have given Randy issues. Randy would have wanted to get in a clinch situation. Fedor can grapple, so you're probably right on that, also, Nate.
Sambo. Fedor had the Sambo. Couture was Greco-Roman, which is right. It's above the waist.
Yes.
So, which is kind of like, in a sense, I say Sambo would be able to neutralize that.
Yes.
And Fedor was a very accomplished Sambo practitioner. Not to mention, he could crack, right? He had a serious right hand, and he seemed impervious to punishment. And Couture wasn't a big submitter. So I'd go Fedor.
Well, Randy, he liked to grind you out. He liked to break your wheel, take you into deep water. And Fedor, man, he fought a lot of tough guys in Pride also. And I'm like you, man. Like you said, Randy's my hero. I mean, he was a guy I tried to base myself, the way I carried myself in my MMA days, respectful.
Legend. Right.
That's it, man. I mean, he's a hero. He's just an all-American guy. And it's hard to go against Fedor, I mean, if we're telling the truth. But I got one more, and it's a Rottweiler versus a Doberman. I think so.
Rottweiler, yeah. He outsized the Doberman by a lot. Actually, I think the Doberman is actually going to be the Doberman is going to be quicker, and it has a more sleek build. But the Rottweiler is a good 150 pounds of mass and vicious when it needs to be. So I got to go with the Rott.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nate. From one beast to another, I appreciate you coming on here, man.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I'm a huge fan of your clothing line. I think you're going to do awesome. I think it's going to do nothing but grow.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I wanted to get your story out there. I've started my YouTube channel. I'm getting ready to do some interviews with some guys from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, some former professional wrestlers. So you're actually the first one that I've got to do Zoom style. So cool. I appreciate you, man, coming on.
Anytime.
Thanks, and I'd like, if there's anything what you got to look forward to in the future, if you want to plug anything, dude, go right ahead and do it.
Sounds good, Adam. Well, good talking to you. And I'll see you online. And anything else, anytime you want to do this, I'm down to do it, my man.
All righty. Nate, you take it easy, my man.
Same to you.
See you, brother.
Have a good one.